Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to be taking a look at the GepRC Mark 2. Now I've had a lot of requests for this guy and I think it was in my GepRC Batman video that I said that we've got a flurry of bind and fly race copters, but where are all the freestyle copters? And interestingly, we're now seeing a lot of bind and fly freestyle copters. Anyways, I can see why you guys are so interested in this thing, because GepRC are well known for making fantastic frames, and this one is no exception. It is a work of art. So let's first of all talk about the weight. So it's a heavy model, and I always have to explain this because this is a freestyle copter, so the idea is to get decent camera footage from it and not be fast and not be a race copter. We started off racing these guys, but then when copters could get smaller and lighter, those became race copters and they didn't need to carry a GoPro necessarily, and if they did, they would usually get the props in the shot. So we have the freestyle copters that get the props out of the shot because we've got this elongated part at the front, and we can also top mount the battery as well, whereas with a lot of race copters you have to have the battery underneath, which means that you are landing on it and can possibly be doing it damage. In fact, there are some people out there that will not fly a race copter just because they don't want to damage their battery. Anyways, so the weight of this guy, like this, is 384 grams, and then when you add a 4S 1550 battery, so this is a tattoo battery, and I wouldn't recommend a milliamp hour less than that. I think 1300 milliamp would give you too much sag these days, especially with the motors that we are using. So with the 4S battery and also a Session 5, it weighs 643 grams. Now a lot of you might be thinking, wow, that's really heavy, but that's the good thing about freestyle copters. The heavier they are, the less susceptible they are to prop wash, and that's why we use them, because the lighter copters, they struggle with prop wash because they are so light, whereas these are more like a brick and they sort of fly through all of that turbulent air that is around. So there are many benefits for freestyle, but you must now separate freestyle copters from race copters because to me they have got a different function. So this is a pricey guy, and I will link in the below so that you can take a look at the price. But let's take a look at the specifications. Now first of all, I want to mention I haven't got the stock propellers on. You are given 10 sets of the GepRC 5040 propellers, and I think 5040 these days for these big motors that we are using, coupled with the fact that they are a heavy copter, I've gone with a slightly higher pitch. So these are the GemFan 5042. In fact, you could probably go up to a 45 or a 46 and get a little bit more oomph out of it, but as I mentioned, these copters aren't really about speed, it's about getting nice smooth flow, as people call it, and also nice camera footage as well. So the motors, they are a GepRC branded motor, but they also have got a SpeedX logo on it. So they are a 2207 2400 kV. Now technically this system here can take a 5S, so you could try and run it on 5S, but I'm going to stick to 4S with this guy. Now it is loaded with features, so we've got a Runcam Swift 2 up the front here, and we have got the 2.1mm lens on it. we've got 2 anchor points for the camera to change angle. This guy also comes with a GoPro mount. It's TPU material. My only worry about this is that it doesn't have much support, and up the front here I can bend it, and if I put the GoPro on the front here, so it comes with a strap for your GoPro as well, by the way. So if I just put this on here, and then if we just look how weak this front is here, it bends quite easily. Now, I prefer to use the Brain 3D mounts, however, there wasn't one that would fit. It's quite a niche fit. So, as this is a review, I'm going to be trying this stock GoPro mount here, but I do think that it could possibly cause some buffeting in heavy wind, which we have got at the moment. So we've got 2 grippy battery straps here as well, and we also have some foam. Now, I'm usually against foam, but the fact that we've got 2 straps here, I don't think the foam is going to cause a battery to get slung. And we've got a XT60 connector here, and that's also got a TPU printed mount, so that is just really nice. As I say, they really think about these frames. And the arms are 4mm thick, and then if we look at the back, we have got a TPU mount again for your antenna. So this is the bind and fly version. It comes with the r-xsr, but you can get it as a plug and fly as well. Now, unfortunately, the r-xsr has not come with its telemetry hooked up, so that's something that they could have done. But there are a lot of attention to details on this thing, such as, you know, these straws. By the way, you do have to cut these straws and also mount them yourself. They also provide the tips as well, but those tend to fly off, so I never bother with those. We've got an LED at the back here, which is connected to the DIN, so you can program that through Betaflight. We've also got a TPU mount at the bottom here, and I suspect that is for mounting a long range system, something like the Immortal antenna or something like that. Anyways, I haven't talked about the main guts. So we have got a 4-in-1 40 amp BL S ESC, and as I say, it takes from a 425S battery. The soldering is just absolutely superb. I could never get the solder like that. We've also got this metal mount here, maybe aluminium, which connects it to the bottom plate here, and then we've got these heat shrinks around the arms as well. Now, I have a bit of a concern here though, because we have got the same flight controller. It's an F4 flight controller that the GepRC Elegant had, and it's got a built-in VTX. It's a switching VTX using the TRAMP protocol, and it switches up to 600 milliwatts. However, with the Elegant model, I was getting sort of a rainbow effect on the FPV footage, and it kind of was degrading the quality of the camera at the same time. So I can only expect really the same from this unless they have updated it. We've also got a buzzer at the front there as well, and it is using a MMCX connector coming out of the back to a RPSMA connector, which I thought was unusual. So you're given this pagoda antenna here, and it's RPSMA, but seeing as this is a pricey model, you get some pretty cool accessories. So they have provided for your goggles a SMA pagoda antenna that is longer, so this is for your goggles and it's SMA, but the one on the copter is RPSMA. Quite strange, isn't it, that you'd think they would keep it the same, but we have got the credit for Martin on there, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, a little bit concerned. It comes flash with Betaflight version 3.52. We do have soft mounting on there, and we do have a screw that goes through the arm. This is always a concern of mine, when a screw goes through the arm and also goes through to the stack, but it's soft mounted, so we'll have to see if we have any issues with that. Going back to the motor, by the way, it has got a hollow shaft, and then underneath we've got a hex screw, so if it gets muddy then we shouldn't have too much of a problem cleaning it out. I usually get a toothbrush, wait till it dries, and that should sort that out. That's happening a lot this time of year. You also might be able to see that we've got a low ESR capacitor connected to the back. It looks like a small one though, I have to say. So I can just about see it's rated to 35 volts, but only 220 microfarad. Now usually you want to be putting a 1000 microfarad capacitor on there to suck up the back EMF that we get from the motor braking, especially these days when we are pulling huge amps. So we'll have to see if I get any noise issues from that. But other than that, we have got a load of standoffs here, and it feels really sturdy, and as I say, this thing just absolutely oozes quality. So what else do you get in the package? Well, I already mentioned the propellers, so we've got another bag here, and this is what GepRC are good at, and that's why you pay the price. So we've got what looks like spare sides for the frame. However, I don't think they are spares at all, because we've got these two standoffs here, but they are a different style of standoff to the copter. So what these are is another way to mount a GoPro. Can you see? We've got the same angle here, and it's to replace these sides and to strap your GoPro around. And it further confirms my suspicion that this TPU mount here is going to cause some buffeting when we are flying, so they've come up with another solution. However, I tend to find that the TPU actually absorbs some of those vibrations that cause jello, so I don't think this would help at all unless you put some foam on the top there. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to find a Brain 3D mount that fits it at some point. But yeah, they have given you that. Let's see what else that you get. Spare arm, I mean, you know, what can I say? That is just great, isn't it? We've got some of the tubing left from the antenna for the r-xsr. We've got a spare foam thing, because over time I guess it's going to wear. There we've got some spare wires. I guess this is for the plug and fly version. We have got a load of Allen keys, and there are the tips that I talked about, but honestly I would not install them unless you are gluing them on, because they will fly off. And then I think we've got just a spare screw in there as well, and those are just the bits that have fallen out of the foam, because you have to install this and you also have to install the GoPro mount as well. So we are given another strap as well, in case you need 3 or lose one. You are given this kind of manual, but it's more about the stack and how to hook things up, and it also explains things about the channel. But with it having smart audio, then you can just use the on-screen display, tramp audio should I say. So we also have got the r-xsr manual here as well. We also have got the RunCam controller, even though that it didn't have the on-screen display on in the first place. If you want to change the camera controls, then you can. As I say, this package is pretty amazing. We've got a frequency table here just for reference, and we've also got a PDF manual from a QR code. We have got some protectors for not the motor, I don't think. I think it is for the tips here to perhaps stop them delaminating, but I'm not going to use those because the screws are still going to protrude out of the bottom and it's just going to add weight. And my hope was that just like the Skystar Starlord, that they would be able to allow you to skid along the ground, but that's not the case. The screws will still catch, so really it's just to protect the tips here. But you do get those, which is great. And there's the other set of props. We have got another GoPro strap if you lose that one. We've got a load of stickers here if you are into stickers, and that's your lot. So yeah, a pricey model indeed, however you get a lot of stuff for your money. So the Betaflight setup was, I would say, just okay. I mean, it's always subjective because everybody likes to set Betaflight up differently, but I changed a few things. This thing has got a current meter as well, so it'll be interesting to see whether that's accurate and how many amps it pulls and things like that. But I would say all of these models that come with Betaflight, it's quite a high expectation to be able to just bind to your transmitter and go flying. You're going to have to change settings, so I would say with this guy, you're going to have to be accustomed to Betaflight to get it going. By the way, this is what they are calling the silver version. So it's got silver standoffs and also silver topped motors. They do a red edition that has red standoffs and red motors. So something that I've started doing before my flights of these guys to give me an indication whether I'm going to get any problems or not is I have been removing the props, and I've realized that if there are going to be any mid-yaw throttle oscillations, it actually shows itself when you take the props off and have it on a flat surface. So I'm going to put the copter into acro mode here, and then I'm going to arm it. So we've got nice smooth sounding motors. Then when I go up on the throttle, we should get a nice smooth increase, which we do, and at no point is the copter doing this. So that's an indication that it's going to fly well, and these motors are sounding fantastic. I can show you the beeper here at the same time as well. So yeah, I think this one is going to fly okay. Okay, let's go for a line of sight with this guy. Now I've cheated a bit. I've already done a quick hover in the garden and I could hear oscillations. So I have reduced the P and the D value. And I'm doing a line of sight here just in angle mode. Now, because this is a freestyle copter, it's not meant for speed, so I don't usually do speed tests with them. So I do the line of sight instead, just so that we can see what the punch is like. So I've got it in angle mode. Let's go for a punch. Yeah, not overly aggressive with these propellers. And these are not the stock propellers either. So I imagine with the stock propellers, with them being low pitch, that you would have even less punch. So let's flick it into acro and see how it behaves. So this is a 1550 Tattoo 4S. And I think you get too much sag with this guy on a 1300. So go with the bigger battery size. You'll get less sag because the battery can provide more amps. Now it's getting dark here. As you can see, we've got blue skies, and that is a rare thing. So I've gone and done a bunch of flying today. That's pretty much all I've done. But it still goes dark. It's about, I think it's about 3:30 at the moment. But I'm not hearing any oscillations here now. And I'm not seeing any. Let's flick it into angle mode to see if we get any drift. So, no drift at all. Usually means that there's no noise going through to the gyro. I am a little bit worried about that GoPro mount though. It does seem a bit flimsy, and I think I'd probably end up replacing that with something else, or maybe finding one of the Brain 3D mounts that might fit. But it's a funny sizing. None of the ones that I have got fit. But anyways, it's flying nice, line of sight now. So let's bring it in. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at some flight footage, and just as I suspected, we have got that rainbow effect coming through to the FPV feed, which also does seem to degrade the quality of the Runcam camera as well. But if you can get by all of that, this thing flies pretty nice. I don't think I've got the PIDs perfect. I'm still hearing some slight oscillation that I didn't pick up on when I was doing the line of sight. So I'll overlay my PIDs, but they need some work still, I think. But as you can see, it is performing pretty nicely. So let's take a look at the amp draw. I don't think it ever went over 90 amps, which is to be expected on a fairly low pitch propeller. So 90 amps there as well. And just as I suspected, I am getting buffeting through to the GoPro footage, and it is not coming through to the FPV camera, so that confirms really that the GoPro mount that they have provided is just a little bit too weak. And you know, the quality of this thing is fantastic, but the problem that we have is the VTX is attached to the flight controller, and as far as I can tell, there's no way to disconnect it and add another one. Now, with the Elegant, I removed the low ESR capacitor for a Panasonic one that was 1000 microfarad, and it didn't make a difference. So you're gonna have to put up with this rainbow effect if you are into this model, or replace the flight controller and add a VTX. But for the price of this thing, I don't think you should be having to do that, and that's where the problem lies. You see, probably tomorrow I'm going to be giving away the SkyStars Star-Lord, and even though the quality of the frame might not be as good, the picture quality is definitely better, and it's a lot cheaper as well, and it's standing the test of time at the moment. So yeah, it has got some competition, this guy, and really for GepRC I would advise them to just stop using this flight controller and use a separate VTX, because there's nothing that we can do about this noise here. But other than that, you know, it was a top quality frame and components. it's just this effect on the VTX that I was getting, and the fact that, you know, you're gonna have to spend a fair amount of cash to get rid of that. But you can see the current meter is accurate. It's a 1500 milliamp battery, and we have got 1500 milliamps. So as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.